I want to thank all our TVA staff, the people at the college, everybody that's worked to make this happen. We walk in, everything's put together and looks kind of easy, but I know there's a lot of work behind that. And we appreciate all of you doing that. And
tracks the strategic direction in our integrated resource plan. Our business environment is quite dynamic, and we'll begin the process soon of updating our integrated resource plan, because we need the best information we can get to plan for generating assets.
The committee receives regular reports from the Chief Financial Officer on the TVA's performance, and John Thomas is in the first row there. Will provide us a financial update.
Thank you. I'm happy to provide a financial report through February's results. And so the results that I'm providing today are not directionally or substantively different than what I provided the last board in terms of the key indicators. And so I'll cover them, and they're consistent with what Bill had mentioned in his president's report. And so through the first 5 months of this year, you'll see that base revenues are down. The summer months are really the period where we have the most, I would say, risk on the revenue side, but also where we collect most of our revenues. So this chart shows you the orange line is what our budgeted revenue per month looks like, and so you can see the seasonal nature of our business. And the blue bars represent what our actual revenues have been so far this year. And so you can see the gap that exists in the December and January time frame that created that $140 million I mentioned. And then that 1/3 of our revenue that we would expect to recover in the summer months. This year, that'll be more significant to us because through February year to date, fiscal year, compared to budget and compared to prior year. And so you can see the second line, the $142 million unfavorable base revenue. As you move down, you can see in this case, we've split the operations and maintenance expenses into two categories. So you can see the routine that's favorable right over $100 million, but you can see that we were unfavorable $7 million in the outages that was directly related to the refueling outage at Browns Ferry. Then you can see the other categories. Overall, $12 million unfavorable to our net income budget relative to the prior year. Essentially the same, but for different drivers, as you can see. The good news on the routine O&M that I would say is year over year, our O&M expenditures are favorable as well. So not only are we favorable to what our business plan was, but versus what we had actually spent last year. That was $86 million less than what our plan was. Really two key drivers there. One was the impacts of this shortfall in revenue that was somewhat mitigated by lower operating expenditures. The other is related to working capital adjustments, and that really applies to, as we came into the fiscal year, we had lower revenues in the end of last year, and so that impacted our working capital as we came into the year. And so that's something we're working to mitigate throughout the year. Lastly, our investing area, I'll mention $150 million favorable to our plan. These are really associated with timing of major construction projects, in particular our capacity expansion programs and our clean air projects.
Or are we still trying to catch up on a period of deferral or neglect?
Yeah, thank you. It's actually an area of focus since the new board structure, and certainly Chairman Sampson has placed a lot of emphasis on this for us, but we are not caught up in terms of the work that we need to do in terms of restoring and maintaining the operating equipment at TVA. And you really see that in two areas. You'll see it on the capital spending side, and then you'll also see it on the operation and maintenance, primarily on the outage side of that. The amount of investment that we're making in plant property and equipment for each year, and this goes back to essentially the period where the new board structure has been in place. And then the orange bars at the bottom show what the amount of debt, this includes all financing obligations, not just statutory debt, but total, when you take those financial obligations and we net out the cash, because we could either hold cash or use it to extinguish debt. And so overall through that period, looking at this relationship, trying to ensure that we're being fiscally responsible and maintaining a significant difference between how much we're spending in capital and how we're financing that. And overall, what you can see is we've added over this time period approximately $13 billion worth of investment, partly because of this desire to expand our capability through adding gas generation, but also to address the equipment reliability and overall asset health. And during that period, we've taken on $1.2 billion worth of debt. The last
Principles. We're okay on that cap, right?
yeah, you could, I think this is, kind of illustrates that you need to look at not just what the capital investment is going to be in that number, which they reference at $25 billion over the next 10 years. This was $13 billion over the last 6 years or so, but the debt only went up $1 billion. So don't just assume what your capital investment is, that your debt's going to go up by the same amount. And certainly, now, Director Maharon has certainly challenged us to try and even be more fiscally responsible in terms of creating these operational efficiencies and even having less pressure on debt. And we're certainly focused on that as well.
Good explanation.
Very good.
And so just in summary, the mild weather certainly impacted our revenue for so far this year, but we're looking forward to the summer when the majority of our revenues obviously are collected. Natural gas prices remain at relatively low levels, but they're higher than what we had in our plan, and so that's caused slight increases in our overall fuel expense. And we're focused on